Heyo! We may have met before. My name is Mrs. Autumn, and I lead our preschoolers at our Spring Lake Park location. Well, we know what time it is. Say it with me. It's soup time! Awesome. Today we will be taking a look at the book of Romans. Now, Paul wrote the book of Romans. Before we go any further, I want you to stop and think, what is one fact that you know about Paul? Awesome. Now let's take a look at our timeline. We have 0. Jesus was born. 33 AD. Jesus died on the cross. 57 AD. Paul wrote to the church in Rome. But you know what's really weird? Paul had never been to or wrote to anyone in the Church of Rome before. So why did he decide to write this? It was like if you had a pen pal that you had never been to or seen before. Well, he wanted to write to the church in Rome for a couple of reasons. One, Rome at the time was really advanced. You know how we have our cool electric cars and our really neat drones, and most of our school books are even on tablets these days? Well, it was pretty complex, and Rome was really advanced for its time when Paul wrote this too. Hey, check out this picture. This is Rome today. Now, some of this was built, some of this was being built after Paul wrote this, but check out the Colosseum on the far right. The Colosseum was just starting to be built 15 years after Paul wrote this to the church in Rome. So yeah, they were really advanced. In that advanced city though, there's a lot of different ideas and different people, and they think different things. It says here in chapter 1 that Paul wrote to Rome for the wise and the unwise, also to the Jews and the Gentiles. Wait, who are they again? The Jews were God's original chosen people, like from the Old Testament. And the Gentiles, like me, were anyone who did not have a Jewish descent. Now, the Jews and the Gentiles were two different people groups, and guess what? They had different ideas. They were butting heads. So Paul wrote this to the Romans because he wanted everyone to know the good, joyful news about Jesus and his teachings. So let's take a look at our book of Romans. That is chapter 12, verse 15. Ready? That's Romans big 12, little 15. If you have it, put your Bible on your head or turn to your neighbor and help your friend. Ready? 3, 2, and go. All right, raise your hand if you helped your neighbor. Awesome. Let's take a look and read this together. Be joyful with those who are joyful. Be sad with those who are sad. Romans 12:15. Oh! Joy, joy, sad, sad. All right, see you next week. Wait a minute. This seems too simple. Oh, you know what? I think this is one of those verses that is easier said than done. Let's take another look. Be sad with those who are sad. Oh, I remember this time. I was in the 4th grade and my best friend got some difficult news. I was with her at the time. We were at her house and we found out that her orange kitty cat had passed away. Oh, it was so sad and I felt so bad for her. I didn't know what to do. We cried together. But it makes me think. Do you remember the Jews and the Gentiles? Well, I also had a school bully. What if it was my school bully's cat who had passed away? Would I feel just as bad? What about the first part of the verse? Be joyful with those who are joyful. Well, that sounds so easy. I remember 2 weeks ago, my friend came up to me and he was so excited because, that high tech, well, he had just gotten an off the market, fancy, brand new iPhone. Oh, he was so excited to share all the new cool things that he could do with his iPhone. But what was my first reaction? Was it, with him? No. In fact, my first thought was, he's younger than me and he has a brand new phone that's nicer than mine. Well, that's not fair. Oh, and then I realized, wait, I'm actually disobeying God's 10th commandment. And I wasn't celebrating. I wasn't as joyful as I could have been to celebrate in this new, brand new gift that was so exciting that he wanted to share with me. I could have been more joyful with him. I do see now that this verse is way more easier said than done. Now, I shared a couple of my friends. I want you to think of your best friend or someone you love to spend the most time with. Now, think, what is your favorite attribute in a friend? An attribute is a quality or a characteristic, like what makes them the best friend? All right, head to your Connect groups and answer this question. We'll see you next week.